What's going on, YouTube family? It's a very quick special edition of Let's Draw on Something here. I am Craig L. Smith II. And as the topic states, Florida State football, you all have a problem. And I meant to cover it. I've been wanting to cover this days earlier, as I know this is almost a week since Florida State stunk up the joint by losing to Jacksonville State. Now, let me say this: Jacksonville State, hey, they came to play. All right, Jacksonville State came to play against Florida State. But my message to you Florida State fans is this: you all got a problem, and it starts with the Mike Norvell problem first and foremost. I say he's a good coach, but we meaning myself, along with shout out to him, Jimmy J Smooth of the Jimmy J Smooth Network, warned you all, and we warned a buddy of ours by the name of Murph about how Mike Norvell is. Mike Norvell, he's conservative. Don't believe me? Ask some of the Memphis fans. And granted, Mike, hey, his offenses are a thing of beauty. He had the current Rams running back Henderson. He ran for 2,165 yards in his final year, and I think the year before he almost done it. Anthony Miller, Anthony Miller, I think the previous year or the following year, he had close to 2,000 yards receiving. Now his offenses are a thing of beauty, but the problem that I have with Mike Norvell is he's pig-headed. He's too conservative. And if any indication, when Florida State had Notre Dame beat, you do not call, and he undermines his offensive coordinators. When Notre Dame, on the third down against Notre Dame, they came out in Wildcat formation. Okay, it worked, but they didn't get the yards they needed. So instead, Mike Norvell decides to go for it again, running the same play, the same Wildcat play, and Notre Dame scouted it and got an interception. Now, I understand that you guys got Jordan Travis, that's y'all quarterback, but I call him Jordan Tragic because he has been tragically playing bad, and he really doesn't need to start. But the minute when Mackenzie Milton gets in, all of a sudden the fans just come alive. Y'all come alive, man, and it's like, wow. Like, they really, and I really think Norvell should start Milton. Maybe you guys can have a chance to win some games. Now, he don't have his leg speed like he used to, but he can move around a little bit. And despite the fact he had a bad game against Jacksonville State, I'm not going to charge to the game. Jacksonville State came to play. But you all got a problem, and it's within y'all. But let's get to the nitty-gritty, guys. Florida State football fans and everyone else, you have to realize y'all got a problem. It's your whole damn team. I have to give it to y'all. Y'all are the most loyal fan base that y'all have. And, yeah, I had to do a heel turn on y'all because, I had to jump on the Nick Saban train. I'm liking what he's doing. Now, imagine if Florida State had Nick Saban. Ooh. Ooh. And the way that Jordan Tragic's play, oh God, Nick will bench him. But y'all were being sold a bill of goods, okay? Because it's like every year, and reading this article, Norvell, he said about with the loss to Jacksonville State, which is y'all first loss to an FBS school since y'all haven't lost to FBS school since 1961, and that was against Southern Miss. And at the time, they was the college division, which is the precursor to Division 2 and 3. So y'all haven't lost to a FBS school in 50 years. 60 years, I'm sorry, 60 years. But reading this article here, I want to break something down. When Mike Norvell said, I apologize to our fan base, to our university, to all Seminoles for the performance we had. Okay? Then he says, I take ownership of it, but we go in and work, correct the things that had to be corrected to play to the level we're capable of playing. First, okay, that's where Mike Norvell sold the Florida State fans a bill of goods. He keeps doing that. You know, it's like you buy a product, like you got the hopes of buying the new Jordans, right? But them new Jordans turn out to be just drawers, you know, buddies. And he's selling y'all a bill of goods and convincing y'all to think, convincing y'all to think that, this team gonna correct the mistakes. They gonna learn from it. They gonna do this. They gonna do that. I mean, he said that the other week again when y'all lost Notre Dame, which, I mean, y'all did a little bit. Y'all did good with Notre Dame. Again, nearly beat them. He said this against Notre Dame. And I can't stand for coaches to be selling their fan base dreams when those dreams turn out to be nightmares. Okay, let's move on. Then he said this team has talent. True. They have bar none, that Florida State team has the most talented team in all the ACC conference, period. I would, right behind Clemson. Right behind Clemson. Who's my one watcher? My one viewer. Their talent is right behind Clemson, man. And it's no excuse. It's no excuse for them not to be at least. I'll go off the record. I'll just say it's no excuse for them to be at least 2-0 or 1-1 right now. They got talent. But I just think the talent just refused. I think the talent refused to show up. So, I'm moving on to something else what he said. But then this would kind of piss me off here. Y'all defensive end, Jermaine Johnson II. I think he need to shut his mouth. Because Norvell admitted that he said the team did not line up in a prevent defense and tried to get pressure on the quarterback because Jacksonville State had one timeout remaining. If you want to try to get pressure on the quarterback, there's this thing called man coverage. Learn how to scout your defensive coordinator, who he got from Memphis. Don't know his name, but he runs a 4-2-5 defense. So if you want to at least put some pressure on the quarterback, don't run prevent. Utilize some cover 2, cover 3, cover 6. If you got to, cover 7, cover 5, cover 7. Or utilize like some wide 9 techniques or something to confuse quarterbacks. You want to put some pressure on them. Prevent. Yeah, you prevent yourself from winning the game if you constantly run the defense. That sounds like they're sticking to the script. But Jermaine Johnson, he said that they didn't execute how we were supposed to on the final play. No shit. But for 4 years straight, this team has been committing the same mistakes over and over, and it's no excuse. None. Now I'm a Crimson Tide fan, and I say that as hell. Shit. I don't think Florida State got with this as talented as they are. I don't even think they got the balls to beat a loaded Crimson Tide team right now. But the problems that has been the same stuff that Florida State has been doing has been plaguing this team for 4 years, and it's sad. The fans are getting tired of it, and sometimes it's just hard to watch. It'd be hard to watch. I like Florida State. I'm not as big a fan of them as I used to be. Would I like to see him get better? Yes, I would like to see him get better. Would the Florida State football fan base like to see them get better? Yes. Yes. Hell, everybody want to see them get better. Everybody, these fans, to the football team and to you, Coach Norvell. I want this to get out, put it out publicly. You may not care about the criticisms. Who cares? But hey, this is just constructive criticism from a fan, from a fan of football for what I've seen. And if anybody say I've never played football, yes, I have. So Stop selling these fan bases a fucking bill of goods. Please stop. It sucks. But they still, but they're still out. But and I said it was Jacksonville State was an FBS school, it's an FCS school. So, and they haven't, and they always talk about our folk, but the main problem is, like I said in this article here, I'm jumping everywhere. The main problem is that the coaches and players have sent the same message for years now about correcting mistakes and making sure the team is more disciplined on game days. I don't see no discipline. Where's the discipline? What have you done for me lately on the discipline? But when the same problems continue to span coaching staffs, how do they ultimately get corrected? Yeah, how do they get ultimately corrected? That's what I want to know. Mike Norvell is not trying to adjust to the problem. I mean, he already created in which I'm not a fan of, a 2-quarterback system. Look how it destroyed. Look how it did Tom Landry. Look how it did that goofball. Matter of fact, what's his name? Derek Mason when he was coaching Vanderbilt. This bozo went with a 3-quarterback system. And his best quarterback was part of the 3 timeouts, so he got to evaluate him more. That best quarterback that Vanderbilt had when Derek Mason took over was up under James Franklin's offense, and that dude was good. I put it on Vanderbilt. I just gave you an example, but ultimately with Derek Mason, now he's the defensive coordinator at Auburn. When he came in and started running that 3-quarterback damn system, everybody knew, it was going to be a long night. He don't know what he was doing. He still don't know what he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. But I'm not a fan of 2-quarterback systems because I think it's not necessary. I can understand, you want to try to put the gamesmanship up there, but I think to me a 2-quarterback system is stupid. I mean, Mike Norvell is running it with Jordan Tragic and then Mackenzie Milton. And if Jordan Tragic, I'm talking about Jordan Travis, if Jordan Travis doesn't get his shit together, then he's out of there. And this is as far as a stretch. Jordan Travis is the Florida State version of former Tennessee, now Washington State third-string quarterback Jerry Guarantano. And Jimmy J. Smooth, if you listening, he got some stories to tell about that dude. Boy, ooh. You want to talk about one of the worst quarterbacks in history? He was the worst. The worst. So Jordan Travis is the Florida State version of Jerry Guarantano. You look at Florida's situation. I mean, Emory Jones, he sucks. But Dan Mullen's still going to go with him. Really? That's good. Hey, good news for Bama fans. Not good news for Florida Gator fans. That's gonna be the matchup of the day. Alabama against Florida. But I'll be at work to check that out. But listen, Florida State, and also one more note. The Johnson dude, he said that they were still bought into what Mike Norvell told him. He said next week we have to flush it. Bullshit. You have to have a great response. That's what we've been building upon. If not, then we're just fake. Yes, technically, Johnson, Mr. Jermaine Johnson II, your team is fake. You showing the fans how fake y'all are by promising network, by promising by promising dreams and they end up getting nightmares by being sold. Or put it like this: Mike Norvell promising y'all a good product, but then when the product gets shipped to your house, it ain't about shit. And that's what you all are right now. Y'all suck. Y'all fake. Y'all are phony. Phony. Y'all, and the Florida State fans, they see it too. How can you say y'all bought in on something and you're not doing nothing? If you all were bought in, then y'all at least would have beat Notre Dame and or Jacksonville State. Like I said, y'all if y'all were bought in, y'all could have been at least 2-0 or 1-1. Okay, Notre Dame would have been a good loss. All right, but a good loss to Notre Dame ended up turning into a bad loss for you all against Jacksonville State. And that's sad, man. That's freaking sad. I think Jimmy J Smooth finna join me in a minute. But we ain't finna do a long live stream because, and that's bad. And if y'all were bought in, y'all at least would have made a bowl them damn 4 years that y'all had the promises, dealing with the Slick Willie Taggarts, which Jimmy has said it publicly. Slick Willie Taggart should have stayed his ass at Oregon. He had a gold mine at Oregon. Phil Knight was taken care of, and University of Oregon was taken care of, and then he went down, like I said, the Bill of Goods reference. So, I mean, like, look at Mike Norvell. Y'all are getting sold a bill of goods. Mike Norvell is selling y'all a bill of goods. And it's Jermaine Johnson, the second dude. He telling y'all, we're bought in and all this other stuff. Because if not, then we're just fake. Apparently y'all are fake. Y'all are fake. So, waiting on Jimmy J, because he's going to chime in with me in a minute before I end it. But listen, you all got a problem, and the problem is with the coaching staff, mainly the HBIC, the head brother in charge, Mike Norvell. Period. Point blank. In Memphis, he had good teams, but he was stubborn, always going for it on fourth down. Okay. I give him that. Memphis had when he stuck up the Liberty Bowl when Memphis hosted their first ever home game at their home bowl game. They played in the Liberty Bowl and got their ass basically kicked, but the score was close. But they got beat by Iowa State team that that runs one of the best 3-3-5 defenses of all, because he didn't have enough time to prepare for it. It's called studying your opponent early. Get all the film you can. Norvell, stop cutting your offensive coordinator's nuts off. We understand it's your offense, but let your coordinator do his job. The quarterback coach need to get on Jordan Travis. He needs to step it up and get better. He needs to get better, man. You need to start Mackenzie Milton. The fans just light up when Milton is in the game, and then when Jordan Travis is in the game, they boo. The whole stadium is quiet. Come on, man. If that's not an indication as to what you need to do. Now, if you want to keep your job, Norvell, you're going to have to make some changes, man. Stop being like a stubborn asshole, somebody like a stubborn parent, and not changing your ways on a lot of stuff. I got 2 viewers that's watching. All right, Jimmy J, he's getting ready to join in a minute. MJ's total health and wellness. He said Florida State was my team growing up, and now I can't even watch them. I can't either, bro. Can't nobody watch them. I'm like Kirk Herbstreit. When Kirk Herbstreit said he can't watch LSU, I can't watch them. I can't watch Florida State.
Well, here's the thing with Florida State, bro, because I have to make a correction. Jordan Sad Bitch, aka Jordan Travis, he actually threw only 3 passes in the whole game. But Mackenzie Milton played like shit the other day.
And I said that. He played like shit against Jacksonville State, but against Notre Dame, he was awesome.
Yeah, he should have started the Notre Dame game, but I understand why that he put in Jordan Sad Bitch, because last year the end of the year he did play better toward the end of the year. versus during the beginning of the year he was tragic. He was a sad bitch. But I think what Norvell wants mobility. McKenzie Milton is not the same mobile quarterback at UCF that he was.
No.
And his passing efficiency, that I think, I don't know what type of injury he had. I think it was a really bad ankle or a knee injury, but he had one of those injuries that's pretty much a career ender.
He had put like this. He had that Joe Theismann. He had that Joe Theismann, sort of like a combination of Willis McGahee. Well, Willis McGahee had through, but a little mix of what happened with Joe Theismann.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get to what type of injury he had, but he does not have the same mobility. Had he been mobile, I think Florida State would definitely be undefeated. But I think where Norvell is getting to with his offense is he wants somebody in there mobile, and he wants to stick and stay with somebody that can give him a chance to actually at least win the game, because these days the quarterbacks have to be mobile. At some point, you have to get out the pocket. At some point, you have to throw on the run. At some point, you got to be able to, when the defense flushing you out of the pocket, you better step up or be able at least to run or have some type of mobility to where because the thing about with a mobile quarterback is you see the field better. Whereas if you're just standing in the pocket, you can only see certain sides of the field unless you fucking tall like Peyton Manning or something like that. And even then, you don't want to be sitting there like a damn statue. So I get where Norvell is coming from. The problem is, in order to be an effective mobile quarterback, you have to have accuracy as a passer. That's the problem with a lot of guys that either guys are better runners than they are passers, and the defense will key in on you. Now, for example, like Lamar Jackson's accuracy, his throwing motions is trash. He is an efficient passer, but the problem is let me finish, sir. Let me finish.
All right.
He's an efficient passer, but the problem is, like you say, he's bad at throwing at the flats. Now, the good thing they did the other day was they got a running back, Devontae Freeman, but if they run him 30 times a damn game, he's going to get hurt. But
that's, I think you got to fault that with Greg Roman, because the offensive coordinator, and Greg Roman is really not that good of offensive coordinator.
That's where Devontae Freeman is going to come in. But they ran him raggedy. The dude. Yeah. Well, Kaepernick made him look good. That's the thing about Kaepernick. Kaepernick made him look good, but Greg Roman
Alex Smith made him look good too.
Alex Smith was all right, but
Alex Smith was okay. But what drove Greg Roman crazy though was he got tired of Alex Smith constantly throwing down the check down. When it was one game that when San Fran played Baltimore, and Alex Smith, he told Alex, he said, Vernon Davis, Vernon's going to run the wheel route, catch him when he's in stride, because he's going to get the first down plus some. So Alex didn't listen to what he said, and Greg just put his hand over his head. He said, "I'll be damned. I know he just didn't throw to the damn check down when I told him don't throw it to him."
Right. Yeah.
And then when Roman got on the phone with Alex Smith, he said, "Hey, I told you Vernon was going to be wide open," and Alex just hung the phone up on him.
Right.
But and Roman was right. I mean, Vernon was wide open. I'm like, damn. I mean, you going. But about like I said about with Lamar, he ain't the Louisville Cardinal Lamar, all right.
Right.
Because I always make the joke, regular season Lamar Jackson, he gonna bring it. Bowl game or playoff Lamar Jackson, he ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah, and and him fumbling the ball, him getting all those fumbles the other day, that made him look bad, because they had that game won, and all of a sudden this nigga had more fumbles than the damn goddamn bowling ball, man. So I mean, he's gonna need to quit. I mean, I'm not saying don't run, but you're gonna need to show guys that you can throw on the flats when you can't be able to run, because you're not gonna always be able to run the ball every time. There are situations to where the defense is gonna key in on you, and you got to at least get rid of the ball or at least throw on the run. So
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna have to get better at throwing because everybody knows you can run. I mean, people know that. So he's gonna have to get better in the flats. His deep ball is beautiful. He got a great tight end. Hollywood Brown, he's got a good receiving core. But the problem is he lost both of his running backs. So
Yep.
the defense is gonna key in on him. Okay, they don't have no running game, but the good thing
Mm-hmm.
is
Let's tear
bringing
his
in
ass up.
yeah. So the good thing is bringing in Devontae Freeman. So with Devontae Freeman, that gives him a little bit more leverage. So we'll see. If the running game don't get better, I can see that man getting hurt, unfortunately, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But that you're putting him in that predicament to be injured because like you can only run the ball so much as a quarterback anyway before somebody you end up like Coon Prescott, as I call the motherfucker. So you know.
But yeah, but I mean, that's why I just said, and by what like with Norvell, I mean he got a lot of he promised he giving the fans some nightmares. You probably like I said, I keep bringing that point about, I keep repeating myself about. I get tired of these coaches selling these fans some dreams, and 60% of the time they end up being nightmares. And then when the fans want to criticize you, you want to act like a bitch. I ain't not saying Norvell now. There have been some coaches that Jimmy and I in past shows we talk bad about, want to act like bitches, tell like the fans, hey, there was one football coach say, hey, you get paid, you pay your your hard earned money to watch us play, not criticize us. The fuck,
I
you
mean, you're
know?
gonna you're gonna be open to criticism, but I get it. I mean, sometimes you don't want to be hearing that shit too. I mean, it's a double edged sword because you do got fans that are extra with this shit. Uh, nevertheless, man, it goes both ways. I'll say that because sometimes you don't want to be hearing no extras from the damn fans. Sometimes you don't have the talent level, and sometimes you do, and sometimes you're just playing a better team. So it goes both ways.
And we've gone on record, and then when we did the Let's Draw something on Facebook, you, myself, Murph, we went on record and said Florida State they got the most talented team right now in the ACC.
Right.
But what's up?
Yeah.
What's up? So like I said, the finger point goes to the coaches.
Yeah.
Starting with the HBIC, the head brother in charge,
Mhm.
Norvell.
And
It
like
starts with him.
Willie Taggart has recruited, in spite of not having the greatest quarterback recruiting in the world. Willie Taggart has recruited like one of those classes was like number 8 in the country in
Mm-hmm.
recruiting, and then one of those years because they've been coached by 3 different coaches in the last 4 years. If you include the interim head coach, that's 4 different damn coaches, and one of those, I think, the last Jimbo Fisher Jimbo Fisher class, I think they was right at number 4 in the nation in
Yeah.
recruiting. So uh so the talent level is no excuse. And then you got an experienced quarterback who's had an undefeated season, would have had 2 consecutive undefeated seasons had he not suffered a nasty injury. So you got the talent there. Talent having the talent you have right now, you got
Mm-hmm.
zero excuses to be in the position that you're in. But again, you're dealing with the Milton McKenzie, uh, Mackenzie Milton, that is not mobile. So
Right.
he's
He's
gonna
he's not the
UCF
UCF McKenzie Milton.
right. So the
That
one
used
that
to tear
play
Memphis. That used to tear Memphis' ass up. Kind of
right.
ironic. Kind of ironic. Mike Norvell got the very quarterback who used to kick his ass.
Well, Mackenzie
Kind of,
Milton
sort of.
Mackenzie Milton want to end his career on a good note, but this is not a good note right now. And I
Mm-mm.
don't think he probably should have came back to football, unfortunately, because some guys are just better when they have mobility versus being a pocket passer. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, his pocket presence is good, but it's sometimes it's just that extra oomph that gives you that ability to be a great quarterback. And Mackenzie Milton is better when he's mobile.
Yep.
Let's just keep this 110. So we don't know what Florida State gonna do, but hopefully they can win out. Hopefully they can beat Clemson. Hopefully they can find a way to win. Uh, if not, I would say if he don't win out, I think Mike O'Hale, he did it again. Either is going to get fired this year, or he could possibly be on the hot seat going into next season. And you know how Florida State fans, I mean,
Yeah.
once fans start winning championships like Nebraska or AKA New Trashka, uh, you
And
know,
I still say for the Nebraska fans, Scott Frost should have stayed his ass there at Central Florida.
I mean, but here's the thing. Central Florida ain't got shit on Nebraska in terms of because at least if he get fired at Nebraska, aka Nebraska, he at least got a big payout that they got to pay him on. Now the downside
Yeah.
of going to the downside of going to these big teams is they'll put clauses in there to where you can't go to a rival team. So you also got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword, but at least you get paid. At least you and your family can settle and not have to worry about the bills and stuff like that for many years. So with
And I think,
Nebraska,
and then Miami cuts you off, and I think Florida State can't afford to fire Mike Norvell either, because
yeah.
because they say he got a, they say his buyout boy.
Well, but they have the
He,
revenue. I disagree with that. They have the revenue to. They have the booster clubs to actually. Those teams gonna have booster clubs. Then you got to take into consideration the ACC television contract. Even though it was reported that uh, it was reported that uh, Florida State and Clemson got rejected to go to the SEC,
mm-hmm.
which I get it because before the SEC became the SEC, they have a little rivalry going on. With
Yep.
most of the SEC, they have a rivalry going on with Georgia, even though Georgia has been the dominant party in the rivalry. Uh, in the 70s and 80s, when they played every year versus Georgia, those games started getting closer and closer, and then it determined a national championship a couple of years during those time period. And then what's funny about Clemson is Clemson, when they started winning in the rivalry, they was like, oh, we don't want to play Georgia no more. I'm like, y'all bitch ass motherfuckers for that. Y'all,
Yep.
I mean, when they started winning, because for the most part Georgia dominated the rivalry. They jumped ship. I'm like, y'all some hoes. Same shit Georgia Tech did when they started beating Tennessee, because Tennessee was dominating for most of those years, and then when they pulled off like I think 5 or 6 in a row, then they stopped playing Tennessee all of a sudden. So they're
Mm-hmm.
known for fuckery like that. So I think what it is, because they got a rivalry with Tennessee, they have a mini rivalry with Alabama, but that's more so in recent years, mainly because they beat Alabama more times than anybody in the last couple of years. They have a little rivalry going with Auburn, so they have a rivalry with most of the SEC historically speaking. If you look at the historic factor, there's a rivalry there. Most of the ACC, but when they were part of the Southern Intercollegiate Conference, which is now a FBS conference now,
Mm-hmm.
you had North Carolina, what is now the original ACC. They had a
Yep.
little rivalry going with most of the SEC. So I think I could get it, but they was like, well, you don't bring anything to the table. Tallahassee doesn't bring anything to the table. Clemson is pretty much the football, even though you got South Carolina doing their thing, Clemson is really the football country, but they don't live by any really major metropolitan areas that I know of. Whereas Oklahoma coming in, Oklahoma is pretty much Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
That's right outside Oklahoma, because my auntie, she lives in Norman. She works at the medical center, Oklahoma City Medical Center out there. So she drives like 20 minutes to downtown. And Austin, they have like 2 million people surrounding their metropolitan area, but I would have kept Texas out mainly because that could affect recruiting. You can easily steal Texas people, and you can convince a kid, hey, you're playing in the SEC. Now Texas is going to have somewhat of an advantage in
Mm-hmm.
recruiting, because they get everybody, because they're the big Texas. Yeah, just like University of Southern California,
As you call
UCLA.
them, University of Spoiled Children.
Yeah, University of Spoiled Children. They could be like, okay, come to UCLA. You're going to be playing in the best team in the Pac-10. So they're the big university in Texas compared to Baylor and compared to Houston, compared to the other programs out there. So that's going to affect a lot of recruiting. But that don't mean they can't sneak in. Arkansas can't sneak in and get those guys. That don't mean LSU can't sneak in and get those guys. Texas A&M is pretty much going to have all of Houston, but they can slip through the crack and get some big name players in Houston. University of Houston, now that they joined the Big Shelf, aka the Big 12, they're going to in basketball, they pretty much got all the basketball talent with Coach Sampson. That pretty much you might slip some guys in there because you're not going to be able to get everybody in Houston, but basketball is pretty much all Houston at this point. Now that they made the Final Four, now that they don't got to go to Choklahoma or any of those neighboring schools or border schools, basketball is pretty much all University of Houston. Now football, you gotta A&M got a stronghold. And they're going to have a stronghold for a minute because everybody wants to go to A&M versus the University of Houston. But we'll see in the next few years, being that they're going to be in the Big 12, and kids prefer to go to the SEC versus the Big 12. So, but with Florida State, Florida State, I got names for every goddamn body. So this is a common thing. My malapropism game is on fleek. So nevertheless, Florida State and Mike O'Hale, they better figure something out, and they better figure something out fast, because these Florida State fans, they're impatient. They're impatient.
They are. And that's what basically saying they getting tired, man. You can Norvell can apologize to the fan base all they fucking goddamn want to. The best apology that he can make, the best way he can back up his apology, make some changes. He need to make some changes. He need changes. He need to change his ways as a coach. He need to start Milton. He need to work with Jordan Trapp, the Jerry Guarantano of Florida State. He need to work with Jordan Travis. I call him tragic. The offensive line, and Murph pointed out a little something too. Offensive line needs some beef. You got to get them to man, because the running back he got 100 yards on Jackson State, but imagine if Florida State had Alabama Crimson Tide offensive line. Horses, man. That shit. Whatever. I wonder what happened to that offensive line that Dalvin Cook had. They ain't had a good offensive line since Jimbo Fisher was there.
Yeah. But nevertheless, man, Florida State need to get it together. Clemson is coming. Clemson, and the good thing about Clemson loss versus Georgia, it was early in the season, which generally, traditionally, when they do play on a perpetual basis, the Georgia Clemson rivalry is normally early in the season anyway. So the good thing is they're going to still be in national title contention, but a second loss will pretty much will put them out of there. And the best thing Mike O'Hale can do is win the conference. At this point, your chances of winning in the national title is slim to none. It could happen because there have been a 2-loss team a la LSU, but you don't play in the SEC. That's the only team in the last few years that have won in the last 20 or 30 years that have had 2 losses and won the national title. And that's mainly because LSU played in the SEC. And you can get away with certain things in the SEC that you can't get away with in another conference. It's like everybody beats themselves up, and that's one of the reasons why in the BCS years and in the playoffs years they mainly in the 90s you only had a handful of SEC teams win a championship. You had Florida. Auburn could have won, but they was on probation from whatchamacallit, Pat Dye. They was on
Yeah.
postseason ban from Pat Dye. You had Alabama and Tennessee. There was only 3 teams in the SEC. Could have been Alabama could have won in 1990, but that Miami team was just too good. They had a
But they
chance.
whooped their ass 2 years later though.
They whooped their ass under Bill Curry, and Bill Curry got tired of the Alabama fans, which is why Gene Stalling got in that position. He just got tired of Alabama fans, and I think Bill Curry did a good job. He did a better job at Alabama than he did at Kentucky, but he was just
Ray Perkins did it. Ray Perkins did a good job at Alabama too.
Yeah, Ray Perkins.
I think because since we still gonna be on the subject about Florida State, y'all. So we doing some freestyling here on this one. But when I worked at Centos, one of the guys, it was one of the older guys, telling me. He said, Alabama. He said after Bear Bryant had retired, he said, man, Alabama football was real good under Ray. They call Ray Perkins Ray. I said, Ray Perkins? Yeah. See, he was, he was honest with it. He was real good.
Well, the problem with Ray Perkins was that was during their Tennessee and Auburn losing streaks. They only lost to 2 teams during that timeline because Tennessee had like a 4 or 5 game winning streak over Alabama, and Auburn was just coming in with pretty much Bo Jackson created that rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 years during Bo Jackson, because he lost the last 2 years versus Bo Jackson. But it would either be because Alabama could have won the national championship the same year BYU, but they lost to Tennessee during those years. They were losing. They had a losing streak to Tennessee those years. So that's what made. And at that time, they lost to Florida in Knoxville that same year. Talking about Tennessee that year. So the SEC had, during the Miami dominance of Miami and Florida State dominance from the early 80s to about the 90s, the SEC was pretty much beating up on each other. And they only beat 2 SEC teams. Well, Mississippi State, as I call them motherfuckers, they were beating up on them too because they played them every year as well. But other than that, they wasn't playing the top level SEC teams. They wasn't playing Auburn. They wasn't playing Auburn like that. They right. stayed away from Alabama after they got that little win in 1980. ACC teams have a history of ducking SEC teams, but during that timeline, most of they wasn't playing the SEC. I'm talking about the top level SEC teams on a perpetual level, and had they did, that would have been a problem because the SEC, even in that day, even though the state of Florida had all the fast athletes, the SEC still had great talent. They still was able to recruit on the level. It's just when you put out Rivals.com, the ESPN top 150 now, because people are paying more closer attention to the recruiting rankings. Now you see that the talent level is pretty much equal among some of these teams out here. Yeah. So nevertheless, man, Florida State got to get it together. Otherwise, the fans gonna get it together. So that's the main thing. They got to get it together, and it's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Dominate the ACC while the grease is hot, in the words of Corey Wolf. If the grease ain't hot, then you're gonna lose your spot, man. So
yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. So, because and we warned Florida State fans what they were getting in Norvell. Great offensive mind, but his coach will piss y'all off. Don't take our word for it. Go back and watch some Memphis games. Matter of fact, here's one for y'all. Pull up I think 2017 Liberty Bowl. Memphis versus Iowa State Liberty Bowl. Watch that whole entire game. Memphis. I think Memphis wasn't. He intentionally just gave that game away, man. You blew
Right.
the biggest opportunity for that school. You blew the biggest opportunity for
Mm-hmm.
Memphis. You gave Memphis an opportunity to play in a home stadium, and you fuck it up. Watch that game.
Yeah. I
You gonna
mean,
see. You gonna man. I was mad for him, man.
right.
And my wife at the time, we watched that game. We was like, and she was like, wait, he said they really must. They act like they don't. The coach act like he did. They don't must don't want to play or something. Granted, the score was close, but
No
there were
excuses.
Mike Norvell, right? Mike Norvell had more brain farts. That he had more brain farts in that game than I've been a millionaire. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, but I'll take that back. He had more brain farts in that game than Nick Saban had in his entire coaching career.
You know something?
Huh?
Yeah. I mean, they played better against Penitentiary State than they did
Yeah.
against Iowa State.
Iowa State. Yep.
That's the fucked up part about the whole thing. They played better against Penitentiary State than they did against Iowa State. And
They
I
couldn't, but see, but when you watch the Penn State game, what it was, so Memphis did that's when what's his name, the current coach, he took over the job, and he devised the whole game plan. What it was, Franklin pulled that Coach K shit on him, what Coach K did to Bob Huggins.
mm-hmm.
Franklin pulled that joke card out of the deck in the last few minutes of that game.
And then the running game was unstoppable. Penn State's
Yup.
running game was the factor. But had Memphis had the same energy against Penitentiary State as they did against Iowa State, they would have blew out Iowa State.
Yep.
That goes to show you, in a losing effort, they played better. It was a shootout. I don't think anybody scored that many points against Penn State the entire year. And
No.
so
Now I was looking forward to the shootout because Memphis did everything right in that game, man. The passing game, the running game, the defense. They shut down Penn State's passing offense. They shut the run down. But like I said, James Franklin pulled a joker card out of there, and that's when the running game was on.
right.
Whatever
Yeah,
he did, and
ran more
Mike
draw
Norvell
plays.
he
He
had
ran more
draw
draw plays and
plays,
delay.
screens.
And delay
Yep.
delay handoff. So that's what throw Memphis off. Because Memphis was playing
Yep.
like a 3-3-5, and he saw holes in that defense. Because with a 3-3-5, the draw play and delay play, for the most part, is pretty much open. So he saw that and he took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, and really the 4-2-5, because that's what Florida State is running now, and I think they should run both the 4-2-5 and the 3-3-5, because you got 5 in the second. You're gonna have 5 deep in the secondary, but some of the defensive coach, he got to look at that. He got to look at that little bit. He might want to give us some good defensive coach. He might want to give it a Bill Belichick, or Iowa State's defensive coordinator, who everybody been trying to get as a head coach's job, and he's the Brent Venables right now in the Big 12. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
So, and then Brent Venables, I think, bar none, hands down, best defensive coordinator. Florida State gave him fits, but yeah, I mean, we just did something right quick, man. But best thing I can say. Go ahead.
Before you get to your point,
there's some breaking news.
No, I wanted to. Well, you can finish your point because I wanted to get in a couple of topics before we go ahead and get off because I got things to do as well. But I wanted to jump into a couple of topics as well. But continue your point. I didn't mean to interrupt. My bad.
You good, but Florida State faithful. Jimmy may have a better view about what I'm about to say, but hey, it's better days ahead for y'all. because right now Norvell's ass is itching.
Oh yeah.
His ass is itching right now because of y'all. It's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. If he don't deliver, I don't know who they Jimmy look up who they play Saturday or what their next game is.
Wake
If they
Forest.
don't, okay. If they don't beat Wake Forest, which Wake Forest they're a really undercover dark horse team too. And I'm gonna tell you another undercover dark horse team whose coach earned our respect, Georgia Tech. Jeff Collins got the boys getting going right, man. Because he said when he said it's gonna take us 2 years to get these guys back to playing in the position they supposed to be playing. He
Right.
said Jeff Collins said he took over a whole roster with players that played out of position.
Right.
Yeah, and Jeff Collins earned my props. When I think it wasn't the fans that was criticizing, he said it was some analysts criticizing. He said, "Hey, we play bad because of me. Put that on me. Don't put that on them kids. You put that on me. We got a whole roster playing out of position, and you want to talk bad about them. Put that on me."
Right. That's a good coach, but I think he's
And
gonna
that's a
do a
good
good
coach,
job there.
man. And you know him and he was on Urban Meyer's staff. No, yeah, he was the defensive coordinator for Florida for a minute too. Then he took over. Then he took the Temple job, and everybody at Temple said they liked him.
Right.
They liked him. He was real. He was real because some of the Temple players he took up for his players and said, "Hey, if you messed up off the field, you fucked up. That's it. Suspension. You have to take the punishment." He more like, "Hey, let the punishment fit the crime." But
Right.
but
And he did a great job at he did a great job at Temple as well. Sent him to a couple of bowl games, and it was nationally ranked as well under him. So he
mm-hmm.
did a great job at Temple.
Yep, and he took over after what's his name, Matt Rule.
Uh-huh.
Because Matt Rule
Yes.
was at Temple at first, and then he took over. He said the only thing he just changed. He said he didn't change nothing off. He kind of amped things up offensively at Temple, but the
Right.
defense, it was his blueprint, so they were good. So, but listen, if Florida State don't beat Wake Forest, is the game at Wake Forest at Tallahassee?
It don't matter. They should be able to beat Wake
But
Forest.
they should be able to beat them. If they don't beat Wake Forest this Saturday,
Yeah.
Jimmy, what's your take on it? That's why I just left it as is. If they don't beat Wake Forest Saturday,
Yeah, Wake Forest is 2-0, but talent level, it becomes a matter of talent because you got to think about it. Wake Forest had played two FBS opponents, Old Dominion and Norfolk State. So that the game is deceptive. That's a deceptive. Deceptive 2-0. So they should be able to beat them easily. It's no excuses for this
mm-hmm.
game. Florida State, in terms of talent, is way better than Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a fucking Catholic school, so they should be able to tear into their asses. So
Mm-hmm.
it's simple as that. There's no excuses. You're 0-2, but that's a deceptive 0-2, mainly because of had it been some coaching adjustments throughout the course of the game, you probably looking at 2-0, maybe at least 1-1. So it's just they shouldn't beat them. There's no excuses for them.
That's true. That's what I said. They should be able to beat them. And then that Jermaine Johnson the second dude, you with them comments I read from that article, you just about as fake as those. Just about as fake as those comments you made. If you all, like I said, if you all are bought in, what's up? Y'all making the same mistakes. They started making the same mistakes. So, I mean,
yeah, I think that's emotional talk more than anything. That's emotional talk versus actual logic. I mean,
mm-hmm.
that's the thing there. He's being emotional versus not versus being logical. So it is what it is when it comes to that, man.
Yep. So you had a couple other topics you wanted to share?
Yeah, the NBA Hall of Fame speeches. Because I remember you talked about this, and I started reviewing it on the overnight hours. But the NBA Hall of Fame speeches, everybody's speeches was on point. The people
Yeah.
that was alive. So I give credit to Bob Dandridge, who should have been in the Hall of Fame shit grossly years ago. I mean, he was never again. He
I
was
gotta watch
never
his
a
Hall of Fame.
yeah. He did a good speech. Chris Webber, he shouted out the Fab Five and Steve Fisher. Uh,
Yep.
he shouted out Michigan. So he had a great Hall of Fame speech. He should have been in years ago. Rick Alderman. This is mostly a Hall of Fame full of people that should
Yeah,
have been
Rick
in.
Allen. Yeah,
The
Rick.
only person.
Rick
Go
must have
ahead.
been sick through the years, man. Cause I could tell with his voice. I'm like, damn, Rick ain't been feeling too good
And,
because he had to be helped up the
and then
stairs and.
his son died, so that takes a lot of that'll cause a lot of stress when you outlive a child. I mean, talking about your child, your biological seed that you
Mhm.
skeeted up in your wife in, or whomever you skeeted in. That takes a if you're any kind of father, that takes a life out of you. So I could see that. I can see that.
Yeah,
And
but
Rick Alderman,
he was a hell of a coach, man. And that
he should have
team
been
he
a
talked
first
about
ballot.
that.
He
Yeah,
should have been
and
a
that
first
team he
ballot.
talked about that won 22 straight games without Yao Ming. They
Right.
should have went to the finals. They should have went to the finals because and shoot, I think Tracy McGrady said he enjoyed playing for Rick Alderman, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the NBA, the sports in general is a what have you done for me lately type league.
Hmm.
Bob Fitzsimmons, he should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. He was the foundation of that Paul Westphal team that made the NBA Finals because that was his last years when Tom Chambers first got into Phoenix the first 2 years of Phoenix. That was Tom Chambers who should be in the Hall of Fame himself. He even though he only has two All-Star appearances, the guy has
Hmm.
20,000 points. He played against some of the greatest big men, if big men slash power forwards in history, night in and night out. So Tom Chambers should at least get a consideration. The two All-Star appearances is deceptive because the
Right.
level of competition he was playing, just like Chris Webber. Chris Webber's stats don't 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 uh don't stand out. He has less than 20,000 points, but he would have
Hey,
had
keep talking. Going
20,
to the Waterloo. Keep talking.
but he would have had 20,000 points had his last 2 years he wasn't injured his last 3 years in history. And then like with Chris Webber, if you look at his stats against the top power forwards, he was a monster against some of your top power forwards in history. He gave Charles Barkley hell, which is why he put him on the Hall of Fame stands. He gave Tim Duncan hell. Tim Duncan only had like 10, I want to say 10 30-point games against him out of like 50 plus games. He gave Tim Duncan hell on the defensive end. He gave Kevin Garnett hell on the defensive end. Chris Webber was a very underrated defender because those guys really didn't go crazy on him in terms of, because when you play against guys like Tim Duncan, play against guys like Kevin Garnett and those guys, man, you're bound to get the business put on you. But if you look at those stats, if you look at basketballreference.com, Duncan often struggled against guys like him, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
Weber's defensive game was very underrated. I mean, he didn't have
It
like
was, but
2,000 blocks.
it ain't just underrated. It was very underrated.
Yeah, because
Very.
those guys would have to take 30 shots to get to 20 points, 30 points. They would have to take a gang of shots just to get to their point per game average. And I looked at some
Hmm.
of those games and I was like, damn, he give Tim Duncan problems because Tim Duncan outside of Kevin Garnett and Rasheed Wallace, Tim Duncan, even destroyed Shaq at times, but Shaq didn't have any defense. He was more so he was good at fouling the shit out of you, so he wouldn't have to
Hmm.
play defense. But that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But man, Chris Webber held his own against the top power forwards in that era. So he deserved, like I say, he deserved the first ballot Hall of Fame. I mean, sometimes stats can be deceptive, but if you look at him against the top level power forwards, he gave them motherfuckers the business. He made them boys work. So he deserved it. I loved his Hall of Fame speech. I love Fitzsimmons. I think that was his daughter. Bob Fitzsimmons. His daughter did the Hall of Fame speech. He should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. Even though he never won a championship, he built that Phoenix team. He built that Phoenix team in the 70s, and he built Cotton Fitzsimmons. He built that team when he returned to Phoenix, because he was like the general manager, and he pretty much made Paul Westphal the coach, and that was his team that made the finals, other than Charles Barkley coming in, that acquisition of Charles Barkley. So he pretty much built that team. So he should have been in the Hall of. So it was mostly a Hall of Fame, other than Paul Pierce, Jay Wright. That was a Hall of Fame.
Hold it thought. I was shocked Jay Wright got in, and guess what? He deserved to be in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about with the speeches though, I could tell Ben Wallace. I could barely understand what Ben Wallace was saying. I'm like, he ain't good. He ain't used to public speaking.
Well, he used. I understand. No, it's okay, because you know what? He's used to being the guy in the back of the line anyway. So I get that. But nevertheless, the content of his speeches were good. Everybody's speeches was good. I mean, he may sound like a country ass, mumble mouth ass dude, but he's used to being the dude in the back of the line, because he said he took forever for him to be the starter of his basketball team. So I get it. He had to work for everything he has. So I get it. But the content of his speeches was beautiful. I'm not even going to take away from his speech. Everybody's speeches was on point. That was a beautiful Hall of Fame induction. This was mostly a Hall of Fame full of people that should have gotten in on the first ballot, if you ask me. Even the guy that did the recruiting guy, which his recruiting thing is still open. I didn't know that. I forgot the guy's name. I mentioned him on a previous live stream, so referred to that. But he was the guy responsible for doing basketball camps, and he was pretty much the foundation of Rivals.com. But please refer back to some of my last shows, my previous shows to that. But I mentioned him before, and he's pretty much the reason why Rivals and 24/7 Sports are in play. So he definitely deserved to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He shouldn't have been waiting until he's like 10, 15 years in the grave. So other than the Hall of Fame pissed me off, because these guys should have been in there. Mm-hmm. But it's a good thing they're in. So we got to do a better job of honoring the people that changed the game and changed the basketball. Changed basketball. Because guys like Ben Wallace, he changed he could dominate a game on the defensive end and the rebounding end. Before those knees had went out on him, he was one of the hardest people to score on. You watch that game 7 of the when Paul Pierce and LeBron James was going at it. Little did people know, he held Kevin Garnett to 14 points, and he made Kevin Garnett work for literally every fucking point he earned. Like, with bad knees. That's a bad knee, motherfucker. That ain't the same Ben Wallace that with the 45-inch vertical leap. This is a dude that okay, I don't have my jumping ability, but I can at least make this motherfucker work. You call Paul Pierce better score 40 plus points, because you ain't finna get you ain't finna get no more than 14. So that's with bad knees and all. You know what I'm saying? So he should have been in the Hall of Fame, as far as I'm concerned. You mentioned
something about Tom Chambers, right?
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, and Cotton Fitzsimmons.
Right.
It's funny you should mention it, because I'm finna send you a link, and he makes a rare appearance on someone's show. I think. Matter of fact, let me see. Yeah, they both make an appearance on somebody's show. I'm gonna send you the link on the messenger.
Right.
I didn't know this.
Right.
Because I just pulled up like Cotton Fitzsimmons for to find out his
Mm-hmm.
the the Hall of Fame speech. So because I'm gonna check it out later on. I'll spoil it for you. They both made appearances on Arsenio.
Yeah. Okay. That's not a surprise.
And
Wow.
I didn't know that
Okay.
because I'm like,
That's new to me.
yeah,
That's definitely new to me. That's for sure. That's for sure.
damn, my message took up so long to
That's for sure new to me.
yeah,
That's
I just pulled this up, man. When it said Cotton Fitzsimmons, and I don't know what the hell. I got the high speed internet, and then Facebook takes so long, Messenger takes so long to pop up on
well.
this. But yeah, I sent it in the sports chat. But yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I did not know. No, I didn't. Man, this was rare. So
Well, that's mainly because to address that Facebook thing, that's mainly because Facebook is not encrypted. Anytime you have something that's not encrypted, that slows down your internet speed. Howard Garfinkel to 5-star basketball account, but he
yeah,
pretty much was the guy that he's pretty much the foundation of the recruiting. 24/7, pretty much ESPN 150. So he's pretty much in terms of recruiting sites, even though Rivals is better with football than anything. He pretty much was like the foundation of that. And like I say, he's the guy that founded Sean Kemp, uh, Alonzo Mourning. If you was in the 5-star basketball camp, you was a top level recruit, hands down. So
and looking at these comments here, they said Tom Chambers is the only 20,000 point scorer in the NBA to not be in the Hall of Fame, and this is back in '91. And they said that Phoenix team was pretty much loaded, and Utah pulled them out that year in the first
this is
round.
before Charles Barkley even arrived, and
Yeah, Utah put them out in the first round.
right, and had Tom Chamber been in the starting position, because they could have made him a center, but I don't know what Westfall was thinking. But yeah, Tom Chambers, had that stretch big man like game and stuff like that. But he's the only him and Antoine Jameson are the only 20,000 point scorers that are eligible for the Hall of Fame, because that are Hall of Fame eligible to not be in the Hall of Fame. But he deserves it because of the level of competition. If you look at the level of competition, he's a Hall of Famer. He's not a top 50 player. He's not even a top 100 player, but he is a Hall of Fame level player. So his competition, if you look at that, supersedes anything out there. So he should be in there, hands down. He played better competition. Shit. Yeah. So nevertheless, he should be in that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Oh, and one more thing. One more topic before we get off. I looked at the Rick James biography. I will say this, and this is not to piss on the documentary, because I'm a nigga nerd when it comes to this shit. I knew at least 75% of the documentary personally, because I've done research on Rick James. I've mentioned him AWOLing out of the military before.
Yep, that was known fact.
Yeah, so I knew most of. If you're a person that didn't follow Rick James, it's kind of like one of those things to where a lot of this stuff you're not gonna know. You know what I'm saying? Because he did get a record deal with Motown before. I knew that. Rick James calling people bitches like it ain't nothing. Like one part of the damn show, a documentary, Roxanne, she was like, Rick James, like, he would call his wife. He was like, "Look, bitch." She didn't know his wife's name because he would call her bitch all the time. Like, "Bitch, give Roxanne and her baby some damn milk." Rick James, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn. Yeah, man, shit. So I mean, but that's kind of
Rick was that hard, man.
Man, Rick James was man. He would. You got to think about it. He was on drugs. So what is the norm?
True enough.
What is the norm to what is not the norm? Somebody is the norm to him. And Rick James was good to his band up until he spiraled out of control with them drugs. because he was, those guys was living good, and he even had those guys living in his mansion during that
Mm-hmm.
time. Now that part I didn't know. I didn't know that part of the game. Uh, it was a few things that out there that I didn't know. But what what happened was his drug habit got so bad that he stopped paying the band, uh, the Stone City band, and those guys started to slowly peel off. And then he had to,
Okay.
yeah,
I
and he
think
had to.
Tales from the Tour Bus made some mention about that. Now that's a documentary you guys should check out because I
Mhm.
watched the one about James Brown. Man, if anybody could do a good James Brown impersonation, it's Boosie Collins. Man,
Right.
man, and I got to give props to Mike Judge for coming up with that. That's his brainchild. So, man, but I'm gonna talk
But,
about that episode in a minute. But go ahead with the Rick James thing because we
oh,
all know about a lot of people. I
uh-huh.
didn't even know about his heat with Prince until I watched Tales from the Tour Bus.
Well, that I knew about that after the death of the Prince. Rick James was jealous of Prince. We got to be honest with you. It was a love-hate relationship, but he was jealous because he knew Prince was going to be bigger than him. Prince, you know, his biggest rival, Prince's biggest rival, truth be told, was Michael Jackson. And
Yep.
Michael Jackson was way bigger than Prince. You know what I'm saying? However way you look at it, some people put them on the same level. Oh, MJ got him beat. Let's just be honest about that. But Rick James saw potential in him, but Rick James, there was jealousy there. It was some jealousy there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to be honest about that. And again, it was a love-hate relationship with Rick James. Another thing I didn't know was he was the reason why Michael Jackson and other black artists got on MTV because he called out the
Yeah.
executives of MTV. Because at first MTV was a rock video station, and how do I know this? Because even though I
And
was born, go ahead.
hold on. And another little tidbit. God rest his soul. David Bowie got on MTV about just playing just white only music. He said, how come y'all not playing artists like Smokey and the Temptations?
Right,
The Rick
right,
Jameses, the Rick James, the Michael Jacksons.
right.
He wasn't that loud about it. David was soft spoken
hmm
and he was being serious. He said,
Right,
if it's music television, hey, I think you should acknowledge all artists. He said, because over where I'm from, where I'm from, color doesn't matter.
right,
With the with the music, we like them all.
right. Right. So that was a thing I didn't know about Rick James. He actually
So,
spoke to one of the general managers of MTV, and after he spoken to him, Michael Jackson's "Beat It" um had got played on MTV, and that was one of the
mhm.
things that made everybody go out and buy Thriller, that video itself, because initially it was not a big seller. It went platinum, probably double platinum, triple platinum within the first month of Thriller. But I think I forgot when Beat It came out as a single. But when it
80,
came out,
I think 83.
yeah, 83. That's when Thriller became because Thriller was destined to become a diamond certified album anyway, but it didn't blow up until that until Beat It came out, and then Billie Jean, it really took off with Billie Jean. So, and then the Motown 25, I think it was, that played a factor in that as well. So, but nevertheless, Rick James, hollered at them boys, like, man, play these black artists now. Even though Rick James didn't have MTV airplay until well after uh Thriller and Prince's albums and shit like that, he did speak up on some things as well. And Willie D already, he already mentioned this before, because I remember looking at the biography of MC Hammer. He was like, Rick James was able to buy another mansion in a damn Rolls Royce.
Yeah, because that's the one I linked with you. Because he got mad with his
hmm
folks for playing the song, and then the phone call immediately ended. He said, "You might want to check your bank account."
And initially, I'm gonna tell you something that they didn't mention either. Initially, he filed a lawsuit against MC Hammer.
Yeah, I remember that.
He actually filed a lawsuit against MC Hammer, and the accountant had to step. The lawsuit was short-lived. It was very
Yep.
short-lived because the accountant explained to him, and his publishing company explained to him. He's like, "Man, do you sure you want to do this? Because Willie D mentioned this before. You got to get clearance from the publisher, the owner of the publishing company. Now, sometimes most publisher be like, okay, you can get this. They also have the right to also be like, okay, you're sampling my song. They can step in and say, I don't need no money from this damn publishing company because I already got money. It's been several times where that's done, but you have to get clearance by law from the publishing company. You know what I'm saying? But the accountant stepped in, and the accountant and lawyer stepped in and explained it to him as he was. But the lawsuit was very short-lived. It was a very short-lived lawsuit, but they didn't go into that. And when they explained it to him, he was like, "Okay, go ahead." So, like, you know, but other than that, most of the documentary,
Rick was getting paid in the process, man. I mean,
oh yeah, and he had another hit that made the R&B top of the R&B charts. A lot of it I already knew, but you would have to study his life to really know. And then he had a tale of 4 different types of career. First, the first album, and then Can't Touch This, and then him going back on tour in the late 90s, and then the Dave Chappelle making him famous again. You know what I'm saying? Making him relevant again. Because that was a good thing for him. And even his daughter is funny as this shit. His daughter, as funny as this shit is, his daughter admitted that Charlie Murphy was in line.
About what?
About I'm Rick James, bitch. she confirmed that this was true. So
you mean so Dave Chappelle wasn't the one saying I'm Rick James, bitch. It was Charlie Murphy.
Well, here's the thing. Shout out to my brother Tariq Nasheed. Tariq Nasheed, as a kid, went to because Tariq is in his early 50s now, but I think he said
that man was the same age as us.
No, he's well older than us, but he went to a Rick James concert in the 80s. He mentioned this on a live stream, and he said that Rick James concerts was very explicit. He would literally, and I'm not joking, anybody that went to a Rick James concert in the 80s can attest to this. But Rick James would suck bitches' titties and on stage. This is a well-known fact. The explicit photos that you saw in the Rick James documentary, this was confirmed. This was known, but no, Rick James be like, "Hey fans, do you want me to suck this bitch titty? I'm Rick James, bitches. Come let me suck your titty." So it was a lot of, it was almost like a porn. Yes. And this is a 13-year-old Tariq Nasheed mentioned this. And he's not the only person that said this either. Several celebrities that was kids. Because at the time, you could go to a concert and you don't know what the hell that's going to happen. Rick James would smoke his weed. I don't think he ever did cocaine on the stage, but I know he did smoke his icky to the sticky to the icky.
He'd smoke his weed, but he did cocaine backstage though.
Yeah, he did his coke backstage, but no, Rick James's concert in the 80s, Tariq mentioned this and several other celebrities that was able to get in the concerts. Because people didn't know what you didn't know what Rick James was gonna do on concert. You want me to lick you want me to lick them titties? say give me a hell yeah. You know, he would do all types of crazy shit. So it was some things that the documentary left out, but that's not to say the documentary wasn't good. I mean, I did hate that he went on a drug binge and he threw something at his daughter. She mentioned that as well, and she said she had to stop talking to him for about several months because of that. But that's cocaine is a hell of a drug, and sometimes you can do something.
And you know, when you're cold-blooded, cold-blooded. He was dating this actress. I forgot her name, Deborah somebody. Cold-blooded was like. Yeah, when he dated Linda Blair, he was crazy about Linda Blair, man. And come to find out, Linda Blair was pregnant, and she lied. You know, he was excited. He was excited as hell. You know, and then she lied about the fact she lied to him about that. She said he had a miscarriage, and he found out when she found out in advance that she had an abortion. So
Right.
he wrote the song Cold Blood dedicated to her.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Yes. So I mean, if you're a type of person, because I do my research on things, so a lot of this I already knew. I say about 75% of the documentary, and I'm speaking on a personal level because sometimes people don't like to do their research. They just understand that this is the celebrity, this is what it is. But I would say if you're a Rick James fan and there are some things you don't know about Rick James, I say look at that documentary. I give it a 5-star documentary because it is a great it's a great documentary to really look at. I loved every minute of it. That Roxanne, I had to pause the documentary after Roxanne said, "Go get me a water, bitch." I didn't know his wife's name because she would. I'm like, "Go get Roxanne, some baby formula, bitch." So yeah, that I had to pause that whole because that shit was just too funny. I was like, nevertheless, if you're Rick James is a fan of Rick James, and I'm glad Showtime, you know, I have my criticisms of Showtime, but
Mhm.
they gave his daughter production credit as well. So the documentary is well put together. Shout out to them on that documentary. I give it 5 stars. That's a beautiful documentary, and it definitely honors the legacy of Rick James. And again, he could have been a bigger star had he not pulled his dick out on the vice president of Motown at the time.
Oh damn.
Oh yeah,
Damn.
Rick was wild. Rick was wild. He was a wild dude, and you can truly say had drugs not ever been involved, he definitely would have blew up. He would have definitely been on. He definitely would have been a part of the big three. He definitely would have been. It would have been the big three of the '80s. But when you get high like that, it's hard to be productive like that. I mean,
Yeah.
consistently. I mean, I will say this: a lot of people don't know this, but Paul McCartney confirmed this during the Abbey Road. During the Abbey Road album, the Beatles was high on that
Yeah.
entire album. If you listen to, if you're, all you gotta do is listen to the sound. Uh, the most thing that confirmed that the Beatles was high. Listen to "Come Together" and listen to the sound of "Come Together." I mean, just really listen to the sound of it. That ain't no normal. That ain't no normal musical composition. If you just really listen to it, just listen to it, you can tell those motherfuckers was high. I was like, cause me and my roommate, we was listening to it. It's like it's something off about this shit. These motherfuckers was high. They was high during the
Hmm.
entire album. Marvin Gaye, most of his greatest albums, he was high.
Yeah.
Most of his greatest albums that he put out, he was least high on the midnight he was the least high, and I say least high. He was the least high on the Midnight Love album. Now it's one of those songs where you could tell, like "Till Tomorrow." You could tell he's on some
Yeah, he was
shit.
high.
He was high
You
on
gotta
that bitch.
go. You gotta
Yeah.
go.
and the original thing, he was like, "Bitch, you ain't finna go no damn where." So you could tell he did not, because initially on the Midnight Love album, he wanted to make that a dance album, but the record label pushed and convinced him to do, because we
Hmm.
wouldn't have had Sexual Healing if he had his way. But Columbia Records slash what was it was called something else at that time, but uh it was called something else at the time, but nevertheless, he initially was not going to write Sexual Healing, and he ended up writing it, and they had to actually rewrite Sexual Healing because the lyrics that he had in it for Sexual Healing was not going to be. He was talking about all types of shit on the original lyrics.
Damn.
I'm just gonna say, and the record label had got it. The David Fitz guy. That's him being contributed. We do know it was a second songwriter, but uh it has been said that he wasn't a writer, but it was another guy. The other guy who's credited on the song did contribute to the album because they did have guys step in there and say, rewrite these lyrics for this man because we're not putting this on the damn album, because that's how much Marvin did not want to even fuck with no love songs, because he wanted to make that a whole dance track. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a good thing the record labels got their way, because that wouldn't, I don't know what would have happened to that album. But for the most part, yeah, motherfuckers be high when it's been times like Atomic Dog.
Oh God.
He was on what's that dude name? George Clinton was on crack when he did Atomic Dog.
Oh, we knew
How
that.
and how we know that, because if you listen to whatever drum machine this is, you could just tell doom 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 doom. You could tell that shit is just offbeat, man. And the engineer couldn't do anything with it. They was like, your song is completed, but nevertheless, man, the lesson in the Rick James documentary is, hey, don't let that drug take you down like that, man. Because Rick James should have been bigger than what he should have been way bigger than what we know him as. He's a legend in our eyes, but man, he would have been the guy in the 80s that everybody, like, he should have been on Prince's Michael Jackson level. He should have been like they should have called that the big three. But unfortunately, the 80s was basically all Michael Jackson, and it was all Michael Jackson and Prince. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was all those two guys. So definitely RIP to Rick James. And I like to thank the Rick James estate, as well as his 4 children, for bringing that documentary and giving the okay for the documentary. Because it definitely took an effort for them to be in and open up to the world about Rick James, man. So that's all I got to say on that, man. You got anything on that documentary?
I haven't seen it, man, but you gave a good review of it. I'm gonna check it out. Or normally somebody on YouTube, they'll probably then download it and upload it and whatever. But it sounded like a pretty good documentary. Like some things we didn't know. Hey, did they ever mention who is he talking about at the BET Award when he walked back on the stage?
Okay, they did go into details of that, but we don't know who he was mentioning, because Rick James is a Aquarius, and Aquarius is random as hell, especially when they in their ego or on drugs in his case. So we never know.
Because the man, when he accepted his award, said his speech, and he kept looking at the back, and he's like, "Thank you." And he was like, "Oh, hold on." Oh, and to that young girl backstage.
We don't know, because
Everybody said it was Beyonce. I don't know.
I don't think it was, because and then she was dating Jay-Z at that time. Nah, that wouldn't have happened, because Jay-Z, I'm gonna tell you something about Jay-Z. Jay-Z, if you disrespect Beyonce with all the lemonade and nigga shit that he done did with Beyonce, which Beyonce pretty much allowing that. She letting Jay-Z do what the fuck he want.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing about Jay-Z, call him what you want, and I respect Jay-Z. I had the wonderful opportunity and honor to meet Jay-Z. I couldn't really shake his hand because his security is on some bullshit. I would love to at least shake his hand and have a conversation with him, even if it's a brief conversation. But he is a cool guy, based off of what I've seen. I met him at a club on Washington Avenue. But let me tell you something about Jay-Z. Jay-Z ain't that nigga to fuck with. He might be business professional, but if you want to see how the old OG Jay-Z of the 90s nigga disrespect Beyonce, that nigga that stepped into, it was plenty of times where he stepped to niggas. Don't fuck with Beyonce. Don't say nothing crazy about her, especially if you're a celebrity. Not to him. It's gonna be a problem. So no, Rick wouldn't have got that disrespectful. We just don't know who. We don't know who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So no,
I'm Rick James, bitch. And then walked off, and everybody was cheering. Monique made it better. All right. All right. So just in case y'all don't know, that's Rick James.
Oh
In
yeah,
case y'all don't know, that's Rick James. That's what made it funny. That was see that was
Monique.
yeah, that was the real that was pre leap pre how can I put this? That was the Monique before Lee Daniels blackballed her from Hollywood.
But you know what? Her comedy tour and that lawsuit against Netflix, she might fuck around and win that lawsuit. From the details of that case, she might end up getting a bag on that. Uh, if they haven't
Mm-hmm.
already settled, she might get a bag off that. Cause
And then she living in Vegas now. She performing in she hosts some shows in Las Vegas and stuff.
yeah, I mean, Monique doing her thing, and I think her bringing awareness to the situation, but the legalities of it, I'm not because baby, you're not bigger than Chappelle on Netflix. I mean, basically, if Chappelle don't do a thing, Netflix ain't gonna be shit because everybody, the last two comedy specials on Netflix, pretty much to a certain degree save Netflix. I'll say that because with some of the shit that they didn't put out on Netflix is some bullshit. But nevertheless, you ain't bigger than Chappelle. I'm gonna just have to be straightforward. But on the legality side of the thing, based off the legalities and what I've heard from my sources, in the words of
Chris Broussard.
Trick Broussard, my sources say she may have it on the legal end. She may end up. And this ain't no Trick Broussard bullshit. She may win that lawsuit based on the legalities
Okay.
of it, not on people's egotistical, because what the legalities is and what people's feelings is two totally different things. So legality, she may fuck around and win that. I'm just gonna be honest. So stay tuned if there ain't already no settlement
Yeah.
on that. And I'll tell you one more thing about that documentary, and then we can finish the live stream unless you got something. But they also went into Tina Marie's, which I already knew this, but he mentored Tina Marie into success.
Yeah.
And a little known fact, and even Tina Marie, aka Leslie it's her real name is Leslie.
Leslie Wonderland.
Yeah. So Tina Marie actually went into this, but they actually had a relationship.
Yeah, well, she
And
actually talked about that on some.
yeah, and they actually had a relationship, and she thought Rick James was gonna marry her, but Rick James, oh no, Rick James was too high. And a lot of people, I'll tell you something else. A lot of people thought the child, the girl, she has a beautiful daughter, fine.
Oh hell yes, woo!
She
was
did.
by that wasn't by Rick. That wasn't by Rick. That was
Right.
somebody. That was by a guy that she was with for a while. I think it was by her husband. She had got married. Right
Right.
after her.
But but I'll say this, even her daughter didn't thought that would, because she was close to Rick James. Her daughter, Tina Marie's daughter, was very close to Rick James, and I'm surprised the documentary didn't go into that. But she even thought that was her dad for a minute, and then I think when she grew up, because she grown an attachment to Rick James, ultimately Tina had told her that wasn't that the man, that it was a different guy. But she did get pregnant by a black. She did get pregnant by a black dude. That is definitely a black man.
Because she was with said she was with the guy for the long. Said she was with the guy for the long. Said he was crazy. Said she did, because Tina didn't say who her daughter's father was. Said yeah, he said he was crazy about me. I was crazy about him. So and he said we split. He said one thing I had to worry about. He said he stood by his daughter. I'm like, damn, okay.
Right. And definitely Rick
And
was
you can see
definitely,
little Tina and her boy. I'm like, ooh wee.
yeah, she's bad. She's not ugly by no. I would get her pregnant. God damn it. Let me just be honest. I would get her ass pregnant. So
Yeah.
and
I see. Yeah, I can see Tina, the soulful white woman being Jimmy McWright's mother-in-law.
oh yeah, and
Now Jimmy McWright. What I can't. Well, let me stop.
oh, but nevertheless, He was definitely significant in Tina's career because he wrote the entire first Tina Marie's first album, and you can hear
Mm-hmm.
it you can hear Rick James's, because he was used to writing. He said he was good at writing songs for women, like the Mary Jane girls. When
Yep.
you hear their voices, it's like Rick James in a female voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and did you know that
mhm.
they had some. I wouldn't be surprised if the documentary didn't get them to do the interview, but
They did,
one
they did, they did.
one of them had some real one of them had some serious issues with Rick. Yeah, I mean, she had so much heat with Rick, man. It was just like, you know, I think the black girl, the one that had the long the braids just like Rick.
Well, that
She had some serious heat. She had some serious heat with Rick. You know, they sang the
well,
song right, and then it wasn't a certain way they had to read. Because at one time they finished the whole album, and someone didn't sound right to Rick. They redid the whole album.
damn, damn.
They
Now that's
that's the shit.
possible.
That's the
That's
that's what she
possible.
was mad, and that's what she was mad about. She said, "Wait a minute," she stood up to Rick, and she was like, "Wait a minute, we did this whole we didn't record it for 8 hours straight. We barely we didn't have we ain't got nothing to eat. We're hungry, we're tired, and we're frustrated. We not recording nothing."
Yeah, but
And she stood up to Rick, man, about that because they had some serious heat for that shit. And I think they had asked us on our son. They asked us, said, "Well, did Rick apologize?" Said it took him a minute to, you know.
and he wasn't the type of guy that apologized. But when he apologized, he knew that, and a lot of that is because he was high, and a lot of times because they would get high parties. He would spend $8,000 a month on cocaine. Yes,
Yep.
and for what I understand, the Motown had a cocaine budget for this nigga.
Damn.
Yeah, like a damn near like I mean, of course legally they could get in trouble for that, but
Yeah.
they knew
They probably
they
they
knew
had they disguised it. I'm
they
pretty sure they
disguised it, but
disguised it.
they disguised it, but they did have a budget and they knew he was uh but he would spend like 8,000 of his own money in cocaine and shit like that. And like you say, cocaine is a hell of a drug. And like the of course the sexual assault charge,
Yeah.
it's a lot of fishy. It's a lot of fishy. I don't think Rick James sexually assaulted that woman. Now, I will say this: did he probably put hands on these women? He admitted to putting hands on one of the women, but he probably did put hands on her. But I don't think it was a sexual assault. I just don't believe it. I mean, I think it was a situation like the other charge because it was two women that came out um and he got a plea deal to where he could go to rehab. But the other case where he beat the female down, that what did it. But I believe Rick on that one. I do think that that was a fight between his wife at the time. I do think that I believe him on that one. I don't think he would have,
Hmm.
but they blowed it all out of proportion. But he did make a guilty plea just to, he was initially gonna go to rehab on the first charge, but
Right.
with him beating the bitch ass, and this is why I tell motherfuckers record everything, record shit because the legally speaking, you can be accused of a crime by anybody. Uh,
Yeah.
and and people lie. Let's just be honest. People lie. People
Hmm.
will accuse you of everything you did, but they leave out what they did.
Yep.
So it's
People
good. Go ahead.
and people be quick enough to tell a lie and quicker than the damn truth. I had some people lie on me, but will admit certain shit because that's why I said, hey, like in my book, I'm in the process of writing. I got to finish up. Hey, I don't lie about a lot of shit on my book. In my book, man, I tell the truth. What reason I got to lie about my life?
Right.
I rather for a person to listen to me in regards to what I did in my life than for somebody else who went
All
by
right.
fucking hearsay. You know, it's a lot of lies out there. Hell, I mean, one time I never mentioned this. When funny when you said something about a sexual assault. I never mentioned this, and I wasn't accused of sexual assault, not by any means. When you said he was the word accused, when I lived over at Oak Ridge Apartments back in 2000, I moved over there in 2007. Okay, now they called the 51. Now the apartments are called the 51 in South Haven. Okay,
Yeah, right.
and they have up, and I might move back to them motherfuckers because they upgraded tremendously. They gave these motherfuckers new refrigerators, new sinks, every goddamn thing. Hot fucking hardwood floors.
Right.
Name it, they put it on there. That wood tile. You know, I one time got accused of trying to and for legal purposes. I got accused one time of trying to come on to a 13-year-old, and this is back in 2007.
Right.
Okay, what the fuck I look like trying to come on a 13-year-old?
You can't
And
do
at the
nothing but
time I
lose.
was and at the time I was going on 20, I was 28 going on 29 at the time, so that's 14 years ago. So that young girl at the time, that teenager is probably she's probably an adult right now with probably about one or two kids. Is an adult right now, probably about one or two kids. But I'm like, wow. And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, you talking about, and I know as you be trying to do. I'm like, first of all, I don't even know you. That's one. You going back,
Right.
you know,
People will lie.
and I even talk with the girl's dad, man. I'm like, what I look like coming on? He said, hey, I just had to ask you, man. He said, because because I don't believe that shit. He said, when I see you, me and you, we talk, you go to the mailbox, you come home from work, and that's it. You mind your business. No, I ain't gonna.
Right.
And that's why I said niggas will lie.
Motherfuckers will lie. People in general will
Yep.
lie. So we just got to be
Yeah.
honest with that. So yeah, that people in general gonna lie. So yeah, I mean
So man,
that wouldn't make sense.
when I got accused of that shit, man, I'm like, damn, no, that fucking hurt my credibility. You know, because if folks had believed it, then guess what? I would have been charged. I would have been in the book as a registered sex offender.
Yeah, yeah, man.
And that's something you don't want. That's basically like the
You
black
can't
book
go
when
nowhere.
you can't be around children. Hell, you can't even be around your own family's kids.
Yeah, you can't go nowhere where kids are at. So that's the worst thing that you can't even, I mean, in Texas, that's a death wish in Texas because you can't even be around a school.
That's basically the
Certain
black sex offender. That's basically the black book. Like remember what Nick Santoro said at Casino about when the FBI puts you in that black book?
right.
That's basically state's black book about you. Basically, you can't be in public.
Damn near.
The only time you can be in public is when you go to a job or to a corner to a grocery store or something. You can't go to no fucking sports. You can't go out to eat. You can't go shopping because little kids gonna be shopping, be with their parents shopping. So I thank God. To be honest with you, man, I thank God to this day that didn't happen because, like I said, you got some people, man, and then why come on to me? And what tripped me out is why come of all people you gonna come on to me, but at the same time them apartments had a known fucking sex offender on the damn property. Not saying, had a known sex offender on the property, fucking them little young girls at the time, man.
Yeah, and that person should have been dealt with, man. So that
You
person
know,
should have. Yeah,
now
but and
if they got dealt with back then, that's fine. But yeah, but that's like I said, when I got accused of that shit, man, I'm like, wow.
right. Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
But like I said, luckily, hey, everybody was tell him this and no, Craig ain't that type of dude do some shit like that.
Nah.
He ain't that kind of dude, man. Come on, y'all. So,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
but you know, you want, like I said, you want to point me out, but you ain't catching motherfuckers that's that skeeting these girls that's 12 and 13 and
Yeah,
14 and shit. I mean, this Mississippi, this ain't Florida.
right. Exactly.
That's why I said
Exactly.
Florida. I don't even want to get into that about Florida. Florida just all fucked up. So,
Yeah, I agree. Right.
yep.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I thank you for joining me on this, man. Because we cut it short. Because
Right.
we cut it short. But boy was under your little boy was under the weather today, man. I ain't making it in today. So I said, man, let me go and do this. And right quick, just put it out on YouTube. I ain't gonna put it on Facebook, but put this
Right.
on YouTube and whatnot, and talk about it while it's fresh on my mind. So I got some phone calls I got to make. Anything you like to add? Oh, but well, before I do, I'm a plug it still. I'm still getting that material for Jimmy to do together because he got some upcoming shows. Because we talked about it. Jimmy also, I think probably the next couple of weeks, depending on his off, because I know my off days when I start my new job is gonna be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So on one of the shows, one of the shows is called Craig in Huntsville. So, Jimmy, why don't you tell everybody what that show will be based on?
Well, we're gonna talk. We're basically gonna talk about, man, your experiences in Huntsville, from the good, the bad, the ugly, and just, I mean, just about being in Huntsville, Alabama, man. And we're gonna get into a little bit of your Alabama ties out there too, as well. So it'll be a great show, man.
But I will spoil it though. I was asked would I go back. Yeah, cost of living is pretty cheap in Huntsville, so I enjoyed it. I can say that I enjoyed my 3 years in Huntsville. I wish I could have stayed a little bit longer, but but circumstances that I was going through, which I will tell it all about in Jimmy's show. Uh, it prevented me from staying.
Right.
So, and Jimmy, and this is well documented for public record about what them circumstances I was going through.
Uh-huh.
So and also Jimmy's gonna he's gonna take over the Let's Draw on something. When he's gonna interview a friend of mine by the name of Jessica Cowan when it's
Right.
talking about the show is called Craig. It's basically the working title is Craig and Craig. What was it like working with
Right.
Craig Senior and Craig the Second? And she's gonna detail her experiences about it, and Jimmy's also gonna be reading her snippets and asking questions snippets from my book I got in progress called The Craig Codex: My life between the colors and lines of reality, of my reality.
Right.
That's the working title of it, and it's gonna be some FedEx stuff in there. And again, I don't pull any in this book. I don't pull any punches about who I talk about. When I say something good about you, it's the truth. When I say something bad about you, it's the truth. It's no lies.
Right.
So, and most of the snippets Jessica's gonna give her opinion on a lot of things and stuff like that. Also, I do have another show interview thing playing with Jimmy, but I can't decide which one it was because everybody liked the interview I did about him in Texas.
Right.
But I think I'll just leave that alone because I think that's the only one I came up with. But you know,
Mhm.
with Jimmy, he did more shows on me about my life. A little snippet. What was it like growing up in Chicago? But I guarantee you, the Huntsville episode is going to be pretty interesting. Huntsville episode is going to be pretty interesting.
Right. For
So,
sure.
and my Alabama ties trace back to my pops' family down in Cuba in York, Alabama.
Okay. For
Because
sure.
there's a road. Even the cops even white cops show respect to his family. When they said Delane. It was a whole entire road called Delane Road.
Right.
It was off
Right.
limits. It was kind of sort of off limits. If you was coming there with the fuck shit, a white cop would tell you, no,
Oh yeah, they
turn
know.
your ass back around.
Oh yeah, they
A
know who
white
not to fuck
a
with.
white cop would tell you, because my pops he did say that the white cops was cool. They had some several white cops that were pretty cool with his on his side of the family there. They I ain't saying they were on their payroll. No, no, they no. I would man. No, they his side of the family didn't have ties like that. But
Hmm.
if white cops, black cops, they work well together down there. If they knew he's gonna be the fuck shit coming down the lane road,
Oh yeah. Oh
they'll tell
yeah.
you turn your ass back around.
I mean, Alabama gets some misconception because there's certain Negroes out there you just don't, man. Like you say, even the white cops like, oh, don't fuck with that Negro right there. You
Mm-hmm.
you better bring your ass, turn your ass right back. Oh yeah, man, because Tariq is from Leeds, Alabama, the same in the Birmingham metropolitan area. He's from the same neighborhood as Charles Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it's certain people, yeah, in Alabama. People think like most of people from Birmingham is like submissive as hell. And I mean, you got your racist part of Alabama, and then you got the parts of Alabama, like it's some old Negroes out there. Is they'll cut that shot real quick, like, no, don't fuck with that nigga right there. Because Birmingham is more gangster than what people give it credit for. It's almost like when you go into Birmingham, when you leave
Mm-hmm.
downtown Birmingham, that's all hood. Birmingham is the hood. And
Yeah.
that's like baby Memphis to a certain degree.
Yep. And that's why
So
First
yeah.
48 stopped going there because they stay having unsolved cases.
Yeah, that's like baby Memphis right there to a certain degree. So yeah, I already know what you mean on that, bro. So
So, yep. But with that being said, Jimmy, you got anything, man?
nothing else, brother. Finna go and get out of here.
All right, same here with me. On behalf of Jimmy J. Smooth, this is Craig Smith II. And Florida State fans, please listen to what we said.
Yes, sir.
Y'all gonna be okay. But y'all gonna be okay. But y'all coach is gonna have to deliver. He gonna have to deliver the goods. So with that being said, the pleasure has been all yours.
Peace.